Are we ready? Okay. Good evening and welcome to this evening's candidate forum presented by the Westlake North Olmsted chapter of the League of Women Voters of Greater Cleveland and the Westlake Council of PTAs. We're pleased to welcome all of you here with us tonight, and I'd also like to welcome those of you who are watching online via the live stream or to anyone who is watching the recording, which will be made available on our YouTube channel later. I'm Nadia Zaim, one of the co-chairs of the Westlake North Olmsted chapter of the League. Thank you to the candidates for Westlake School Board who are here with us tonight. Thank you also to the Dover Congregational Church for the use of this space, and to all of our volunteers who are staffing this event. And thank you to Louis Burrell and Wyndham Ratchford, who are our videographers this evening, making it possible for us to make this available online. I want to invite the president of the Westlake Council of PTAs, Sarah Hughes, up to give a short introduction.
Thank you for being here tonight. The Westlake Council of Parent and Teacher Associations is a volunteer umbrella organization supporting the 5 PTA units within the Westlake City School District. Rooted in our profound mission, Westlake Council of PTAs is a powerful voice and a reliable resource for families and communities, as well as a strong advocate for the education and well-being of every child in our district. Each school year, families, school staff, and community partners channel collective efforts towards the advancement of education, health, and safety for all. Last year, our PTA volunteers contributed over 6,500 service hours. With annual fundraising, our PTAs provide scholarships to graduating seniors, award staff grants, and provide programs like STEM Fest, Wellness Fair, Diversity Week, Kindness Run, Veterans Day events, and more, serving our mission to make every Westlake child's potential a reality. If you'd like to learn more about the Westlake PTAs, please visit any of our web pages on the district website. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you again to the council for working with us tonight on this forum. In keeping with our long-standing forum tradition, questions for the candidates will be submitted in written form. Everyone should have received an index card when you entered to write down your questions. When you have a question ready, please raise your hand and one of our runners will come and get that from you. We have League members in the back who are going to be reviewing those questions to avoid duplication, to provide a diversity of questions and ensure clarity and appropriateness. As I stated earlier, we are recording this program for future viewing on YouTube. And any personal recording during this program is forbidden by our policies. If you are invited to view and share the forum in its entirety on YouTube, but we also prohibit sharing segments of the forum on social media. Finally, we ask for your cooperation in avoiding expressions of support or opposition to any candidate during tonight's program. Please remember the purpose of this evening is to hear from the candidates so that each resident might make their own best informed decision regarding their vote, and any vocal interruption takes time away from the candidates. Now I want to introduce Alice Allen, our moderator this evening. Ms. Allen comes to us from Rocky River, where she is co-chair of that chapter. She is also on the Greater Cleveland Board. She has a background in nonprofit administration and serves as the managing director of the Cleveland Youth Wind Symphony. Ms. Allen is also active in organizing events in the community and is currently president of the Rocky River Music Backers. I will now turn it over to Ms. Allen.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Again, I'm Alice Allen, and I will be the moderator this evening. Before we begin tonight's forum, I'd like to explain a little bit about our format. We have 3 candidates for 2 seats for members of the Westlake Board of Education: Alex Brown, John Finucane, and Mark Homiak. We will begin our forum with 2-minute opening statements by the candidates. The candidates will go in alphabetical order, and Mr. Brown will be going first. We will then continue with questions for each candidate to answer. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. We will rotate which candidate answers each question first. We have timers here in the front who will keep track of the time and let the candidates know when they have 30 seconds and 15 seconds remaining and when their time is up. At the end of the question period, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing statement. We'll go in reverse order, beginning with Mr. Homiak. We will take written questions from the audience and have some question. Oh, that's not true. We don't have any questions prepared. All the questions this evening are from you, from the audience. So thank you so much, everyone. And now I will turn it over to Mr. Brown for his opening statement.
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight, and for those viewing online, and for the league for hosting us. My name is Alex Brown. I'm seeking my first term as a member of the school board for Westlake. My wife and I have lived in Westlake for 10 years, and we have 3 kids in the district. Layla in 11th grade, Sophia in 8th grade, and Elias in 1st grade. I worked as a community pharmacist at CVS North Olmsted before managing the Drug Mart North Olmsted, and before moving to Wellington Drug Mart, about 30 miles southwest of here. As a parent of 3 children, one of which has special needs, I understand as well as anybody how different children can be. Their beliefs, backgrounds, interests, and of course, personalities. I believe that regardless of how a child may learn best, what their interests are, what they want to pursue with their future, they all deserve a place where they can learn. They deserve an opportunity for academic growth, as well as growth from just being a young child in school to being a young adult in high school. Getting ready to take their next steps and pursue whatever comes after. I believe a key way to do this is communicating with and supporting our educators, trusting their expertise, and providing them resources needed to teach our children effectively. If elected, my priority as a member of the board would be facilitate getting our students the best education we can provide and preparing them for the next steps after leaving our school system. As a pharmacist, my large primary profession is advocating for patients and working with healthcare providers or insurance companies to get the best care possible, a responsibility I take very seriously. On top of my clinical service, though, I also oversee pharmacy operations, which includes budgeting, performance indicators, and personnel management. I'm running for this position because I believe that these roles I talked about give me important insight, which would be valuable as a member to the school board. My role as a parent of a child on each campus in our district, which makes me profoundly affected by the status of our school district, and which gives me a very personal interest in seeing our schools excel, as well as someone who is very familiar with working with the public, understanding what's involved and important, and being an advocate for everyone else. I look forward to sharing more with you tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Finucane?
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'll keep it close. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Finucane. I'm currently on my 3rd term as a Westlake Board of Education member. My family and I moved here to Westlake in 2004. We were drawn here by the excellent schools and a very strong community. All 3 of our children have attended Westlake schools from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. One of my child graduated in 2020 during COVID, and then 2 more graduated in 2021. Early on, when we moved into Westlake, I got involved with a number of different volunteer opportunities. Market Day volunteer at Bassett Elementary is one of them, and that experience showed me how important parent involvement is to the success of our schools. Over the years, I stayed engaged. I would coach travel baseball. I was also involved with Science Olympiad tournaments, volunteering for marching band concessions and the 3rd quarter snack, and supporting Music a la Mode and all the music programs when we possibly could. But as I became more active, I also saw something troubling. At that time, the school board was marked by infighting, distractions, and instead of focusing squarely on students and their success. That experience motivated me to want to run for the school board 12 years ago, and with my hope that I'd be able to bring a steady hand and drama-free leadership to help keep the focus on the students where it needs to be. Since joining the board, I've focused many of my time on fiscal responsibility, safe schools, and steady leadership. As a senior member of our finance committee, I've worked to ensure tax dollars are used wisely while investing in facilities, technologies, and resources that keep Westlake among one of the best school districts in the state. I was also part of the construction committee for our new elementary school and supported infrastructure and athletic upgrades that benefit both schools and the community. Ultimately, the success of our schools is directly tied to strong engagement and leadership. A collaborative and focused Board of Education plays a vital role in that success, setting priorities, maintaining fiscal discipline, and ensuring students and staff have the support they need to thrive. Equally important is having a solid, respectful working relationship with both the superintendent and the treasurer, which has been key to Westlake's continued stability and success. I'm proud to have provided a steady leadership over the last 12 years and look forward to continuing that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Homiak.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing and hosting this event, as well as the church for having us. It's great to see so many people here interested in local government, worried about our schools, worried about our students. My name is Mark Homiak. I'm a tax attorney and work at a local firm here in Westlake. I moved to Westlake for the same reason as many: good neighbors, low taxes, and especially excellent services and schools. However, we're approaching a difficult time in the way that we fund our local institutions all across our state. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, or a resident in this district, we have to base our decisions on the most equitable resolutions for all students while still maintaining the services that brought us here. In the past, I worked as a legislative aide at the State House and learned firsthand how directives come down from Columbus and how our local institutions have to bear the brunt of one-size-fits-all policy and potentially harmful funding mechanisms. I built on my experience by earning a law degree and understand the need for zealous advocacy for sound policies and good solutions. And now I specialize in tax law, solving individual and business budgeting and IRS issues. Because of years of good planning and foresight by current and past members, our services are in excellent condition. But now all over Ohio, we've entered a new era, and we're discussing whether property taxes should be used to fund our schools and services, whether the legislature seeks to revamp our local funding, or a citizens initiative takes property taxes off the table entirely. I believe that I am qualified with my experience to serve in these uncertain times. My objective approach, combined with state government, legal, and tax expertise, will best serve our students. I look forward to discussing these things and more tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fanouken, for our first question, we'll begin with you. We learned a little bit about all of you in your introductions, thank you, and we have a specific question about what has been your involvement and participation, past and current, with Westlake City Schools, and how will that prepare you to serve on the Board of Education?
Well, I guess one of the first things I would say is that being a parent and a board member, I've been able to live the experience as an insider for the last 12 years. So I see how everything moves, how everything works, and where we have positives, where we have some shortcomings, and things that we can build upon. 12 years ago when I got onto the board, like anybody else, once you're new, you sit, you listen, you ask lots of questions. And in that first couple of years, that's exactly what I did. I had some very good mentors that were on the board at the time that really helped me understand our role and what we were supposed to do as board members. Our goal is to stay high level. Our goal is not to micromanage, and everything else pertaining to running the school district, that's left up to the superintendent and the treasurers. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Homiak.
I'm relatively a newcomer to Westlake. I come by way of Fairview Park, and my experience in the school board is limited. I've only been in Westlake for about 3 years. However, right when I got into Westlake, and invested in the community with a home, like many of us here, one of the first things that happened was flooding, and that opened my eyes to things that happen in the community that affect everyone and kind of bring us together as a community, issues that happen. I started going to city council, and I started realizing these types of issues are things that we can all come together and work on. And when I was going to city council, we got to make friends with community leaders, and they said, hey, why don't you go check out school board a couple of times? And lo and behold, school board, which I found was run just as well, just as good as the city council. It was an eye-opening opportunity to learn about community involvement. And just as Mr. Fanouken said, being new here, it's something where you try to be a little bit humble, learn about the concerns and needs, and work on that.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown, what has been your involvement and participation, past and current, with Westlake City Schools? How will that prepare you to serve on the Board of Education?
So having the 3 kids school in the school district, Layla having done cross country and all of their friends and going through COVID and everything. And then Sophia being special needs, we know a lot of the office staff and administrative staff very well. Probably too well, but, and like I said, Elias still growing through. We've volunteered with the PTA here and there, donated when time is scarce. Since we've lived through Westlake schools for 11 years. As far as the school board, I've spoken with Dr. Goggin and met with Mr. Hopkins, our treasurer, kept in touch with them, been attending school board meetings and watching them online just to try and familiarize myself with how things work and talking to other board members about trying to get more insight in what's going on with our district behind the scenes. But I would, as I said, with the kids there, I would continue to do so and really invest all my spare time instead of just spare time when it is convenient. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say I'm doing my best to track the order. If I mix it up, just please feel free to jump in. But by my notes, Mr. Homiak, next question to you. How will you ensure that all students in Westlake's community feel safe, included, and valued for who they are, regardless of their background or identity?
The identity is a very important thing to, especially young students growing up. We've kind of come to a time where, with social media being kind of present everywhere, there isn't really a time where you get to be kind of alone or to have downtime. You're kind of have a public presence all the time when you go home. It wasn't like that when I was coming up, and not sure if it was like that for you guys as well. But because of that, the social media presence and people kind of having to engage at all hours of the day, I think it's very important to find communities in person rather than just on screens to be engaged. One of the things I'd say is perhaps we need to push less time on phones, less time on computer screens, less time on social media, and try to make sure all students are engaged more in face-to-face interaction to establish more human connections rather than behind a screen or not getting to know somebody as well and not making that real human connection. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, same question to you. How will you ensure that all students in Westlake's community feel safe, included, and valued for who they are, regardless of their background or identity?
So yeah, absolutely. Like Mr. Homiak said, identity is very important and can't be discounted. I think a big part of this is supporting the administration, supporting our teachers, making sure that children aren't missed or left out, really relying on and working with our teachers to make sure that their guidance is seen to if they work with them, again, kind of a plan, whether it be an official 504 IEP or just back and forth emailing with your teachers and principal to make sure that if you have a concern, it's addressed and again, no one is left out. We have a lot of personal experience with that, and I know Dr. Goggins and his wife's special needs experience and background really is important to us and means a lot. So I think working through him and with him, he also would acknowledge that and support any issues and again, work with teachers. But it comes down to working with teachers, parents, making sure there's open communication and support to the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Finucane, how will you ensure that all students in Westlake's community feel safe, included, and valued for who they are, regardless of their background or identity?
Well, can you hear me? I'm not sure. I'm never sure. One of the key things that I've worked on over the last couple of years as well is to make sure that that safety is a priority for our students, and that engages in not just the physical security, but the mental security associated with that as well. As relates to inclusion, the federal government and the state government dictate pretty much what we are required to offer to students, all students, to make them feel safe and supported and able to learn in a very welcoming environment. At the end of the day, it's really up to the parents, the teachers, and the fellow classmates to everyone work together. Diversity is a very hot topic button, but at the end of the day, everyone has to treat each other with the same respect that they would want to be treated with. So my hope is that Westlake will continue to do that as they do today, because we are a very diverse community, as well as our schools.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, next question to you. What are your thoughts on cell phone bans in schools? Please speak to elementary, middle, and high school grade levels.
So again, another very hot topic at the moment. I think that Westlake's current policy of no phones in elementary and middle school makes sense. Very rarely would I see any need for an elementary school to have a phone on them. Coming to high school, it becomes a little more of a gray area. This current school year, they've started a little more strict policy in the classroom, and I can tell with my daughter, who's in the 11th grade, that it's made a difference. She's paying more attention in class and seems to be benefiting her. So I think the no phones during instructional time is absolutely an important thing and should be continued. I think totally banning phones from the school is a bit much, because kids have jobs they have to know about after work, or family members. Again, if we need to say we need Layla to pick up her sister after school or something, it'd be very inconvenient if she didn't have her phone with her in the school. So gray area, but I think during instructional time they should be not allowed. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Finucane, what are your thoughts on cell phone bans in schools at the elementary, middle, and high school levels?
Well, at the elementary level, I would say that there probably is really not a need for the cell phones there. But instead of just giving my opinion, which I will, the school district is regulated by what the state has mandated, whether it be their policies, their laws that they've passed through the Congregational State House and through the Senate down there. So whatever they pass is mandated, and we have to do it. So if there was at times a little bit of an interpretation in some of those rules, we'll look at it. And we can make exceptions for students that have special needs or specific classes that are actually geared toward, and they would need that type of a device. But at the end of the day, up through 8th grade, I would say we follow the state regulations, but I really can't see why that would be important. At the end of the day, though, I do see there is value in the high school level, especially for students who have jobs, who need to be able to communicate with their employer coming up, and obviously for safety reasons for their parents, making sure who they're going home with, or how they're getting home, or they're going to be late for school, or if they're going to be late because of practice went later. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Homiak, what are your thoughts on cell phone bans in schools at the elementary, middle, and high school grade levels?
I don't think you'll see much daylight between anyone here. There's the state policy, which we have to follow, as well as elementary. It's not a big issue, but when you start to get to the convenience of communicating, sharing a ride, I'm going over to their house after school, or an employer, hey, can you pick up a shift? I start to see some kind of some issue with the policy. So elementary, to the question, elementary, no phone probably. Middle school, got to find some room for some kind of communication throughout the day I don't know what that policy would look like, but it would probably contradict the state. And then at high school, I think a lot of learning happens with your first job, or a job out of high school, or job during, or just out of high school. I think communicating with an employer is very helpful to the development. I'd look for some kind of way of finding kind of a compromise, or not skirting the state statute, and being able to maintain that communication.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Finucane. How would you increase attendance of students and parents at school board meetings?
That would kind of be a little difficult because it's pretty boring. Before I got onto the board, I would go to just about every meeting I possibly could. And sometimes I'm the only one that's in the audience, and rain or shine, the board is there and they're doing their work. I think public participation and parent involvement with the schools is great. The Board of Education meeting is a great opportunity to express a feeling or an opinion about a particular issue. it's not a dialogue, it's not a Q&A at that time. It's more of just expressing what you're interested in and what issues you might have. At the end of the day, if the board's doing their job, there probably should be hardly any people at that meeting. And if there are, then there's obviously greater probability that there's something wrong that we need to address.
Thank you. Mr. Homiak, how would you increase attendance of students and parents at school board meetings?
I think Mr. Fanouken kind of hit it on the head right there. Not much to change there. Part of being in a democracy means choosing when to participate and when not to participate. Not participating is a decision. To the degree of attempting to get more community involvement or connection, school board is nice, it's informative, but perhaps our efforts would be better spent trying to attempt to get more engagement in the schools themselves or more in the school community, band, sports, other aspects. Like you said, if the school board's doing its job, there's no need to go. Perhaps we talk more about getting more community involvement with people like me, people who don't have kids in this system, but want to contribute or be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown, how would you increase attendance of students and parents at school board meetings?
So, not a whole lot additional things to say. So community involvement in schools is paramount. Has to be there. If it's at the school board meeting, normally it's going to be an issue that's already been escalated past the principal, past the superintendent. So again, the communication to the teacher first and then bubbling up through. If everyone ever has a suggestion or wants to attend, absolutely. It'd be great to have more ideas and advice thrown out there. Like I said, it's a 5-panel member, and I would hope all 5 members of that board are already communicating with the community and are available outside of the board meetings for anyone that wants to approach them directly. If they're doing a good job, in theory they are there and they have the meeting. It's available to see or watch, but we don't want a lot of people there causing issues but we don't want that to be necessary. So, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Homiak, next question to you. What is your position on Ohio property tax reform and its impact on Westlake City Schools? How would you address any changes that are made to school funding?
Thank you for that question. I'll try to keep the minute. So I pulled off a copy of the Citizens Initiative petition from the State Board of Election, or the state website. The property tax adjustment would not conflict or not adjust at all the state's obligation to fund our schools. All it would do is just prohibit across the board property taxes, which again, that does not only pay for schools, but lots of county services. The issue I see is if the obligation leaves, there's going to have to be a tax increase somewhere else. To that, I would say, nobody likes taxes, but the devil that you know is probably better than the devil you don't know. To that degree, as the initiative's written right now, I would object against it, and I would campaign against it. I think we need to maintain some ability for our local communities to raise levies, have their skin in the game, and have, single individuals without kids, still have some skin in the game that helps build up the community. I think the structure as is now is good. Did I pass? The structure as is now is good, and without a better policy put forward, let sleeping dogs lie.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown, what's your position on Ohio property tax reform and its impact on Westlake City Schools? How would you address any changes that are made to school funding?
Great question to follow up from a tax lawyer on. So no one is a big fan of property tax or taxes in general. The money has to come from somewhere. Is there a better way to do it? Probably. Ohio is, 7th or 8th in property tax overall and 45th in state funding. I think I saw last week in a report. Definitely a change of some kind should be made, but I don't think cutting property taxes altogether is the way to go about that. At least not until a plan is well in place. Westlake, so far, I feel like we have the lowest millage, and name 50 cities, we're going to be in the bottom couple. We're doing fine so far. We have a good amount of money saved up into this, the school board does, and if it comes to that, I think we're in a good spot where we can tread carefully and, make good decisions. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Fanouken, what's your position on Ohio property tax reform and its impact on Westlake City Schools? How would you address any changes that are made to school funding?
Well, obviously, there's not enough time to really talk about this. But I would try to summarize it with, the state is obligated to help provide local education resources. It's limited, but they are required to do that. It's unfortunate that the Columbus is taking away the decision-making abilities from the local residents as to how they want to go ahead and fund their schools. Westlake schools are probably funded at least 70–80% by local property taxes versus some other districts, have a combination of an income tax, a property tax. So if there are changes, and one of them could be a citizen initiated where no property taxes are allowed, there's always different options, but the money is going to have to come from somewhere. So as an idea, it's been kicked around, is you could always have a city income tax that goes straight for the schools versus paying the property tax. But that's really the only idea that's kind of been floating out there that makes any kind of logical sense.
Thank you. Next question we'll start with Mr. Brown. It's actually two questions we received, but I'm going to combine them. Would you support teaching a comprehensive and historically accurate version of U.S. history, even when it includes challenging or uncomfortable aspects of our past? And how would you plan to approach decisions about which materials are available in the media center, especially when there are different views in the community?
That's a good question, tough question. So as far as banning books and everything, if someone really doesn't want their child to read a book, they can possibly discuss that, but I don't think we should be keeping books away from keeping them unavailable. Are there gray areas where maybe there's some crazy books out there? Possibly, but I think a lot of the books that are being discussed are things that I read in high school, and my parents read To Kill a Mockingbird's a classic. I don't know why I wouldn't want to ban that book.
Would you support teaching a comprehensive and historically accurate version of history?
And again, a lot of what has made our country has been overcoming challenges, and we can't just ignore and push away and hide uncomfortable topics just because some people might not like them. We have to being fully educated and knowing what we've gone through is what empowers us and lets us do better in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Fanouken, would you support teaching a comprehensive and historically accurate version of U.S. history, even when it includes challenging or uncomfortable aspects of our past? And how would you plan to approach decisions about which materials are available in the media center, especially when there are different views in the community?
I'd be a quick yes to your question. History is history. It's not to be rewritten. It's supposed to be explained and understood and learned from. As it relates to the media center, we have a book selection process of professional and guidelines to help the educators and librarians choose what books are appropriate for the students that are kept in the media libraries. We try to balance freedom of thought with age-appropriate learning. Parents always have the right to decide what they want their children to read and be exposed to. Our responsibility as well lies in that we need to fall in line with what state regulations are pertaining to and/or federal regulations that potentially may come down the road. Both of which are very disappointing because it does not really give the decision-making ability to the school board, which is ultimately hired by the citizens of the community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Homiak, would you support teaching a comprehensive and historically accurate version of U.S. history, even when it includes challenging or uncomfortable aspects of our past? And how do you plan to approach decisions about which materials are available in the media center, especially when there are different views in the community?
Yes, I support comprehensive understanding of the community, but I think Mr. Fanouken kind of made the point. A lot of times this comes down from the federal and the state. It's difficult to kind of work within the confines of the curriculum goals or that's brought down from the top. But yes, generally, we're a classically liberal country. We believe that teachers should teach students teachers should teach students how to think, not what to think. And to that degree, they should have the tools they need to do that. And then the second part of the question, I believe there is a policy for approaching the media already. But I would just make sure that if there are parents who are upset with some of the content that is being taught or will be taught or that students have access to, that it's communicated clearly, that they have an avenue very clearly and simply to put in their objection or prohibit that for their student. But generally, as far as a general prohibition, I'd be against that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question to you, Mr. Finucane. We'll return to school funding for a moment. What is your position on private school voucher funding and how funding for school vouchers continues to increase while public school funding is threatened?
That's a touchy subject. School funding has always been a challenge. Obviously, the Supreme Court of Ohio decided a number of years ago that the way it's funded is not appropriate. Being an advocate of public schools, I would probably say that, from my perspective, public money should stay with public schools. The money comes from property tax, comes from the public, goes down to Columbus, comes back in the way of funds to the local school districts. When those funds start to get deviated to different private areas, you start losing the capability of really being able to provide the resources and the services that your local community is really looking for. People have a choice. The people who have a choice as to whether or not they would want to send their kids to private or charter schools. And I'm okay with that as a choice, especially when the district is not as well academically as maybe some other potential ones. But if you have a family who is living here in Westlake and decides that they just want their children to go to St. Ignatius or another private school, then that was their decision. So by them making that decision, then they forego whatever kind of money that they may have paid in the property taxes associated with it.
Thank you. Mr. Homiak, what's your position on private school voucher funding and how funding for school vouchers continue to increase while public school funding is threatened?
Yeah, that's a tough question because I think at some level there should be a dollar amount following each and every student, regardless of where they go. But it's also true that there's a public fisc to be maintained versus the interest of every every student. I would have to say there's probably a compromise. I wouldn't agree with Mr. Finucane on this, but I wouldn't necessarily agree that vouchers should be the way to go either. There needs to be. I don't foresee any possible solution to this that doesn't entail antagonizing one side of the group or the other. But we do need to maintain our public institutions while we're, at the end of the day, education is the goal, not necessarily funding one or the other. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown, what is your position on private school voucher funding and how funding for school vouchers continues to increase while public school funding is threatened?
I like one thing Mr. Finucane said, public money should stay with the public system. The origin of charter schools and the state funding, if you look in maybe like inner city Cleveland or some of the more challenged school districts or downtown Columbus, there may be a place for it there, but do I think it should be, statewide? Maybe situationally, but a lot less than it is now. It should not be being pushed in that direction. I feel like, if it's going to increase funding, the state's going to increase funding for schools, it should be, proportional. It shouldn't be giving more to private schools and taking away from public schools. It should be, if anything, a balance. But again, I would personally think that the funding from our city and from our public should stay within our own public system. Thank you.
Thank you. And this will be our final question. Mr. Homiak, we'll start with you. How would you approach decisions about allowing religious instruction programs to operate during the school day in our district? And what considerations do you believe are important to ensure all students feel included and supported?
I think we have, we have our First Amendment. We have a country kind of founded on freedom of religion. We have a country founded on freedom of religion. I think what's important is that no religion is singled out, or no opportunity is singled out for any religion to engage in that. However, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there needs to be an opportunity for everyone, but nobody needs to be treated above anyone else. So I think it's a good thing to bring religious education into public schools to the degree that it's fair, that nobody has any special privileges. So Catholic, Muslim, whatever, what have you, as long as nobody is favored. Now, that would be a very difficult policy to implement. We've been, in the past, we've had no religion in schools, and I think the Supreme Court has kind of the federal Supreme Court has kind of turned the corner on that and said, well, we had a religious founding. The Declaration of Independence is a religious document. To that degree, perhaps we're kind of coming around to giving everyone the equal chance to make their religion part of the American fabric. So,
Thank you. And Mr. Brown, how would you approach decisions about allowing religious instruction programs to operate during the school day in our district? And what considerations do you believe are important to ensure all students feel included and supported?
This is one of those things where I know there are some big organizations in the state that are pushing more and more. I can probably count in my hands the number of times that my mom didn't drag me to church on a Sunday in the 18 years I grew up. And she would, I know she is not pro, putting education in the schools. It's a separation of church and state kind of thing. It's, if you want to take the religious time, there's after school studies, there's Sunday school, there's a lot of other opportunities. But I really don't think that it would be fair to even have the opportunity to impede on a student's educational time to pull them out to take them to religion. So there's absolutely a place for religion, but not in the public school system.
Thank you. And Mr. Fanouken, how would you approach decisions about allowing religious instruction programs to operate during the school day in our district? And what considerations do you believe are important to ensure all students feel included and supported?
Again, another touchy subject. The Constitution is clear. Public schools must remain neutral on religion. That means we can't promote one faith over another. At the same time, students have the right to practice their faith individually, whether that's a student-led club, prayer, personal expression. Our job at the district is to make sure those rights are respected while ensuring classrooms remain welcoming and inclusive for all families. I believe we have to honor the legal requirements that are out there while keeping the focus on education and student success. One of the other items associated with religion in schools is being able to, there's such a diversity of religions that are out there. Being able to incorporate and involve any and all religions into any kind of practice would be a very difficult situation to do, which is why I believe the Founding Fathers and the Constitution says that religion should not be part of any public school and should not be part of any kind of government body associated with it.
Thank you. All right, so now it is time for the candidates' closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and we'll follow the reverse order of the opening statement, so we'll begin with Mr. Holmiak.
thank you. And thank you again to the League of Women Voters, the efforts here to bolster community engagement, hosting the debate, the church again, for the venue. And thank you everyone here tonight, and then watching on YouTube tonight or when it's posted. Quite simply, I think Westlakers have a vested interest in maintaining our community and maintaining our schools. To do this, we need to objectively handle the services that we provide in the district. We need to continue to meet the needs of the greatest number of students with the policies we select. Further, I believe that my experience, again, as an attorney from the state government, from working with taxes, budgeting, and community involvement, I believe I bring something to the table that can help preserve preserve our good schools. And I'm sure that going forward into the future here, no matter how the funding goes, we have some good candidates up here tonight. I heard some policy decisions I disagree with a little bit, but on the whole, I think I heard 90% policy that keeps our schools in good shape. I have to say, I think Westlake is going to have some tough decision between now and November. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Fanouken, your statement.
Thanks again for everyone.
Do you want to use your microphone?
No, Sorry. Again, thanks everyone for coming out tonight. Westlake schools are strong because of this community. That's really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. My focus has always been on safe schools, sound finance, and steady leadership without any kind of distraction of drama associated with it. Our continued success comes from a strong collaborative Board of Education that works hand in hand with both the superintendent and the treasurer. We've built relationships grounded in trust, open communication, and a shared commitment to make sure that we understand and direct what our policies are so that every student in the community can benefit. My family plans to stay here in Westlake for many years to come because we believe in this community and its schools and what the schools stand for. With your support, I'll continue working to keep Westlake schools strong today and tomorrow and keep them in the top 10% of the state's school districts. And again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's forum. Thank everyone here for attending, anyone who's watching, and go Demons.
Thank you. And finally to you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to be here tonight, to those viewing online, to the League for hosting us. I think Westlake is a distinguished school district, though there's always room for improvement, the constant need to keep up with our changing world, whether it be AI, technology, state legislation, or financial challenges posed by those issues in the coming years. I think it's important that we remain fiscally responsible, transparent with our spending, and united on our policies. I believe my position as a parent in the community with a child in each school, paired with my belief in our school system and my desire to see it thrive, puts me in a good position to be a good representative for our district. If elected, I will do my best to make myself available to and to listen to and address any community concerns, to be an advocate for the community and the schools. I will do all this while keeping in mind that I'm there to do what is best for the schools ultimately, and that the need of our positions are determined by the needs of the children. I hope that this time has given you opportunity to learn more about my vision for our district so that you can feel confident casting your vote in November. I would encourage everyone to look me up online. I have a website, brownforwestlake.com. My cards out there have the website. I would please, anyone that has any suggestions or questions, reach out to me. There's an email address on there, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to our audience here for your close attention and thoughtful questions. Thank you again to our candidates for participating in tonight's forum. Let's give them a round of applause. We did have a few questions we didn't get to. Candidates, if you're able, will you stay to speak with community members if they have additional questions? Excellent. And check out their information table back there. Remember, this program has been recorded and will be posted on YouTube on our website, on our YouTube website in the coming days. For more information on the other races that will be on your ballot in November, please visit vote411.org, the League's nonpartisan voter guide. Vote 411 is a one-stop shop for election-related information. It provides nonpartisan information, including local and statewide issues, candidates, polling locations, election dates and hours, early voting options, and ID requirements. If you're not already a League member and you found this event interesting and worthwhile, please consider joining the League. We're easy to find online at lwvgreatercleveland.org. Thank you again, and I'll turn it over to Nadia for some final remarks before we officially close the evening.
Thank you, Alice. If we can give her a round of applause, too. She did a great job. And thank you again to the Dover Congregational Church for the use of this space tonight. We're very grateful to that, and especially to two of our members, Sharon Wilkins and Marianne Culbertson, who worked with us to get this space available. And thank you to our volunteers from both the League and the Westlake Council of PTAs for organizing this event. Thank you to the candidates for participating tonight. As I said at the beginning, this forum was recorded by our wonderful videographers, Lewis and Wyndham back there, and it will be available on our YouTube channel hopefully later tonight or tomorrow? Tonight, okay, great. So please share that with all of your friends and family who could not be here tonight to watch it. We are a nonprofit education organization. That's how we fund these forums. So if you found this forum valuable to you, please consider making a donation to the league. We have a donation box in the back if you would be so inclined. We also have a link to our website where you can also make a donation. So thank you to all of you for coming. And if you don't already have a plan, make a plan for voting on November 4th, or even before that, starting tomorrow. Thank you.